Alright, guys, so I went and I did something a little peculiar for me. So, if you know me, you know I've not really played Commander ever. Um, Not because I think it's a bad or dumb format, I think it's interesting. It's always seemed very kind of elitist in a way that it's expensive and out of reach, and also multiplayer is kind of a goofy thing. Um, and as usual on Magic Online, it's very hard to find fun brews to play against. Usually people are playing competitive shit, even in just for fun room, which, we have mixed feelings about, right? um, so, in order to get started, back in the day, I put together a deck and I played it. I played a Pauper Commander deck. It was a green-white tokens deck using only commons except for the commander, which was a Maratandris who cost nothing, so that counted. And it was fun, but I went to play some games with it. The first game I lost turn 4, I want to say. A guy cast Avenger of Zendikar, or cast Tooth of Nail for Avenger of Zendikar and Sylvan Primordial, and just killed everybody. And I was like, okay, so not interested in playing this if that's what people are going to do. So I thought long and hard, and before I will start building fun commander decks. I will do it. But at first I thought I'd be an asshole. So after reading an article on Star City by this guy, Sean, I think his name is, he wrote an article about like the worst things you can do to people in Commander, and that was the title of the article about this deck. And I basically sort of tweaked it only for budget purpose and only very slightly. It's mostly his list verbatim, and it's a dick thing to do because you have the capability to kill everybody at the pauper table in turn 1. You can. It's unlikely. And usually it's a little slower to go off because it's hard to have that consistency in the 99 card deck or whatever. But yeah, it's an evil deck. It's an ad nauseum tendrils deck, and this is what it looks like here. Commander is Maralen of the Moonsong, which technically lets everybody tutor, right? Players can't draw cards at the beginning of each player's draw step. They lose 3 life and tutor for a card, right? Which is cool. Unfortunately, it never survives, not never, but very rarely will survive around the table for you to make use of it. So casting it, I usually only cast it if I have nothing else to do, because it ends up making your opponents win more than, you actually helping you. But it is on theme and it fits with the rest of the deck. So, like I said, this is an ad nauseum tendrils deck. So you can storm the bejesus out of people, or you can also make just a ridiculous amount of life and kill everybody all at once with Exsanguinate. And I'm sure this is probably a card a lot of Commander people hate because it's pretty busted, in a multiplayer format. So how does the deck work? Well, I have it sorted by cost here instead of how I usually do with the parts and pieces. But basically there's 58 land, and there's everything in there's 13 0 drops, 12 1 drops, 5 2 drops, and so forth. So when you cast Ad Nauseam, you can basically draw your whole deck. Not always, but certainly drawing 50, 60 cards is pretty common. So the whole deck is built around finding and casting Ad Nauseam. So you have a bunch of tutors, right? We have tutors, draw spells, and rituals, right? So we have elixir to shuffle everything back in case they bin one of your important cards, right? Like Ad Nauseam. Deluge, some other utility, defense grid utility things to stay alive. But mostly, what we're trying to do is cast ad nauseum as early as possible. You draw your whole deck, and then with all of your 0 mana sources, basically count to 5, cast Scourge Familiar, and then you can discard all the, up to 58 lands you've drawn, right? So you could probably get away with discarding 20, 30 cards to this easily. Maybe more than that. Maybe you can make 42 mana and exsanguinate the crap out of everybody, or you can just keep casting and casting and casting things until you build enough storm to tendrils the shit out of people. Plus, you can also cast Xiaodun to get back either the ad nauseum or the tendrils, or so like you can entomb for it and get it back that way. You can Yogg Will and recast everything you cast already to really build storm. You can mind twist an opponent that you're worried about. It's just a mean, nasty deck. It has a ton of utility lands, and the rest are just snow-covered swamps. And yeah, it's fun, but it's fairly evil, and if you're trying to make friends, I would advise against it. I'm going to first do a solitaire match so you can see how it works, and then I will play both one-on-one matches and multiplayer matches just to see if we can go off, if anybody will still play with me, because I've practiced a little bit with it and it draws a lot of hate, and people don't like it, but such is life. So anyway, I'm gonna try this out just for shits and giggles, and again, like I said, I'll build some more normal style commander decks. I've already got a couple in the works, but I thought this was fun, and I wanted to capture it on camera, so we'll see what happens.